guessing that you've taken a lot of notes. I hope you have. I'm guessing you've had a lot of conversations. I'm imagining your heads are pretty full, your hearts are pretty full, and there's more to come, of course. I can relate to a lot of what you're feeling. In 2011, I was a pretty new health coach. Kevin was a full-time police officer. He wasn't coaching with me, but at the last minute we decided to come to our very first convention, so we found last-minute childcare, like many people, for our 3 little boys who were under the age of 4. We got on a plane in Oregon, we traveled all the way to Orlando, and we came to our first convention. And we sat in those seats, we had those experiences, our hearts and minds were full. And we went to bed Saturday night, pretty excited. And then, in an unhealthy way, we woke up early Sunday morning. We were supposed to fly home that morning, but we were awake in the middle of the night. And what happened is we couldn't go back to sleep. We both looked at each other and said, we're not going back to sleep. So let's pack our bags, and we went down, and we started to unpack what we'd been learning. And what's pretty nostalgic for us is we literally sat in the lobby of this very hotel 9 conventions ago. And we began to unpack the things that we've been learning, the conversations we've been having, the experiences that we've been partaking in. And what happened is we went from having very regular dreams and very standard plans to realizing that there might be another way. And if you're sitting there and you're starting to have those dreams, I want to encourage you. I want you to understand that there's more coming. And if you're willing to do the work, what will happen is you will be able to create and dream for yourself a very compelling future that will all of a sudden become your current reality. And this is a little bit of my current reality. It would take many slides to tell the story. But 9 conventions ago, we dreamed about some of the things represented in these pictures. We dreamed about an organization, an army of coaches that would come alongside us, that we would do team time with. We dreamed of earning an incentive trip at some point and ziplining with our fellow health coaches. We dreamed about Kevin being around more, being a stay-at-home parent with me, and maybe coaching alongside me someday. But there were also some dreams we didn't even know to have. So if you're here and you're starting to dream, beware, they'll get bigger, they'll get stronger, more compelling as you go. I never knew that we could go to Greece on our 20th anniversary. I never thought about the fact that they would let me stand on this stage and teach and train something that sets my soul on fire now. And I did not know 9 conventions ago that after having 3 little boys in 4 years and starting to raise them, that God would call us to bring a little girl into our home and adopt her this last March as Evie Rose became a Tinter. Those are the dreams that began 9 conventions ago. And I heard Helen Irwin first ask this question, and I challenge you with it today. What future is so compelling for you that you're willing to transform how you operate to achieve it? If you can start to create that kind of mindset for yourself, if it becomes powerful enough that you will do the work, that's what's going to change for you and be so very, very important. See, our decision 9 conventions ago and every event that we've attended since is now your decision. We could have gone back from Orlando to Oregon to our regular dreams and our standard plans, and we could have done things as we had always done them. But we had made a fundamental decision that day and continue to make a decision. It's not a one-time decision. That we were willing to transform how we operated so that we could achieve that compelling future we were dreaming for ourselves and start to bring it to our current reality. But you have to dare greatly. So that's why I started with this question for you at the beginning. See, right now, we're in this pretty cool environment. We're in a warm, fuzzy, inviting environment where we see the stories, we relate to the people, we're like-minded, we're like-hearted. Where it is going to count for you is when your feet hit your home soil. When you go back to your everyday lives and your jobs, and you are asked, you're called upon to start to act out that future. And I hope that you will make the same decision that we made. And I'd like to share with you something that is almost invaluable to me. It's actually quite a treasure, and you're probably staring at the stage wondering how it can be so special. It's really some yellow pad pieces of paper. But what's on these papers are training notes, wisdom, insight, mindsets, and skill sets given to me by leaders and mentors and trainers who came before. In fact, the giants upon whose shoulders I stand today. And what I love about my yellow pen pieces of paper is actually they were written in 2011, 2012, 2013. Not only do they contain training notes, but they contain the names of people who sit in this audience. People who led to the stories that you heard this weekend. And some of the people on my paper, they didn't come along with us, or they didn't stay along, but they led us to people who are part of this journey. There's dreams for our future about what could be different for us, that would change the way we were dreaming and change the course of our family dynamics, change the course of Evie's life as she came into our family and is experiencing the love that we have to share. And a couple things stood out to me as I pulled these out of my filing cabinet in preparation for this. One, this business is not that complicated. Almost everything that I wrote down 9 conventions ago still applies to our business today. And the other thing that stood out to me was I put this in my filing cabinet, not because it wasn't important and useful anymore, but because it had been so a part of my DNA. I lived it, I breathed it, we used it. This was a gift. This was a gift given to us by the people who prepared the way for us, and I didn't want to waste the opportunity. I'd like to tell you a little story. I read it in a book, and it's just a parable, but I'll paraphrase it in my own words. Most of the time we're sitting down for coffee, and I told you that I had discovered that there's a tribe in Africa, living near the equator, very isolated. And we discovered that they didn't have any clean water, so they had to walk 2 miles with their heavy pots, fill them with water, carry them back. And because they needed to eat, of course, and the game didn't just walk into their camp and say, I'm available, they would literally have to go find herds and animals, kill them, and drag the heavy meat back to the camp to feed the tribe. And we also found out that whenever they ran out of supplies, they had to walk 35 miles to barter and trade for goods. And we thought, what can we do to serve this community? How could we give them a gift that would help them? So we said, let's give them a brand new Land Rover. And we could have shipped it off and sent a little note. But we said, let's be part of the experience. So we traveled to the south of Africa, we gathered the tribe, the chief, we take them to the location where the Land Rover is sitting, and we say, Chief, this is a gift to you, for your community. And we say, come get inside, and he sits in the passenger seat, and I sit in the driver's seat, and I start the engine. And I say, Chief, you know how sometimes at night where you live it's very hot, it's very humid, it's very uncomfortable. If you literally just push this button and turn this knob, it'll be cool and comfortable inside the vehicle. But that's not all. I say, you know how sometimes in different seasons it's kind of cold outside? Well, literally, if you push this button and you turn this knob, it'll be warm and comfortable inside the Land Rover. But Chief, that's not all. This also has satellite radio. That means you can listen to voices from all over the world. And I tune in a station, and he cannot believe what he's listening to. And I say, but Chief, that's not all. This also has a DVD player. And he has no context for that, so I pull out a DVD and I put it in the DVD player, and right there on the screen, in the vehicle, he watches the video play. And he is amazed. And I say, Chief, but that's not all. It also has a CD player. And I pop a CD in, and music fills the surround sound. And he can't believe his ears. And he says, what can I give you for this gift? And we say, nothing. This is our gift to you, our investment in your community. And we leave. And a couple months go by. We check back in to kind of see how things are going. And much to our surprise, we find that they're still walking 2 miles with their heavy pots, filling them with water, carrying them back. The hunters are still leaving the tribe, going long distances to find the game, to feed the animals, or feed the people with the animals and driving them back. They're still having to go 35 miles to barter and trade for goods when they run out. And we're so confused until we realize we forgot to mention that the primary function of the Land Rover is transportation. And guys, that story really stuck out as preparing for this. See, we take pictures, and we hear about exciting incentives, and we meet fellow health coaches. We have a lot of great experiences. But I would be remiss in my job of talking about how to put it all together if I did not communicate to you that the primary function of convention is transportation. It's to take you from where you are in your life and in your business and move you towards your compelling future so that someday it can be your current reality. Please don't miss that while you're here. Having all of See, we all get to choose one of two kinds of businesses. And I have to tell you guys, one is far more fun to build. Practically speaking, you've been learning these things in your workshops and as you've listened to the amazing trainers that have come before me. I told you our business is fairly simple. I didn't say it was easy, but it's simple. I was taught years ago that you want to get really good at starting clients. And then you want to support them really well. And you want to offer this opportunity to lots and lots of people. In fact, it's in the benefit of our clients to become coaches. Do you agree with me?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's good for them. It supports them. So invite them to come alongside us. Invite non-clients to come along and bring in coaches. And then train them. And you want to do this really well for yourself, but you also want to learn to transfer these skills far and wide and deep in your business to get really, really good at this. See, the goal is to bring people in and go from that conscious incompetence where we all know we don't know anything, all the way to unconscious competence where we can do it, and live it, and breathe it without looking at the paper anymore, right? There's another layer of this foundation, and this one I've fallen in love with. This one took a little more attention for me to notice, but we are learning skill sets here, and we are learning mindsets here. We are learning transactional, and we are learning transformational. And I have to tell you that each part of this is important. It's important that you develop these areas of your life and your business and that you learn to blend them. You cannot build a fully transactional business and you cannot build a fully transformational business. You need to have both. But why is Optimia distinctive? My guess is you've started to notice many of these areas. See, skill sets are what you say and do. What do you literally say on a health assessment? What do you do when someone asks you about a plan on social media? But mindsets, why you do things and how you think. Why do I send someone a short trilogy video before I do a Coach Explorer? And how do I think about transferring skills to my new coaches through those three-way calls? Those mindsets, guys, those will either move you forward or they will hold you back. So I encourage you to be open and shift those. Transactionally, we've been practicing these, so unless you're a guest or a client, most of you are well familiar with these. How to do a great health assessment, what celebration calls mean, why we do Coach Explorers, meet and greets. These are important aspects of our business. But the transformational is what I fell in love with. It's becoming an Optimian. What does it mean to be an Optimian out in society? Not just here where it's comfortable and safe, but out in this world. Living out those hot sits, right? We lead from the future, but we act now. That is exactly what Kevin and I did 9 conventions ago. We saw our compelling future, we went back to our home state, and we got to work. We transitioned how we thought, what decisions we made about our time, our commitments, what we said yes to, what we said no to, how we led our family. We shifted all of that towards our compelling future. We take responsibility and play above the line. You've heard these over and over this weekend. This imaginary line that says, we can shame and blame or we can take responsibility. And in Optimia, you know what I love, we're not perfect. We don't say to be an Optimian, don't go below the line. What we say is, learn to recognize it faster and shift sooner. That's what it means to be an Optimian. Number 3, we seek growth, we embrace obstacles as the way. We don't say, don't worry, there's no obstacles. No, we say they're coming. They're coming, be ready, be willing to contend. We connect authentically and we cultivate trust. I love that we represent a mission that is not about boxing and telling, but asking and guiding. Would you agree?
Yeah.
We awaken potential, we transform massively. That's why we've told the stories this weekend, guys. That's why you come here. Yes, they deserve the recognition, but more so, we want you to understand somewhere along the way, their potential was awakened. Someone reached out and helped them, and they chose to transform massively. We deliver extraordinary results and serve to better mankind, and that is interlaced into everything that we do in Optimia. See, we develop personally and we help others. That is what we're about. Now there's the soft skills, and Jamil did a brilliant job this morning of talking about this. I have a love-hate relationship with the soft skills, you know? They're like completely necessary and sometimes very hard. And what I hope that you're understanding is many times these are more caught than they are taught. So watch and observe the people who have built a strong, duplicable business because they are showing you what it looks like to have these skills throughout their life and within their career. But here's the cool thing. We all have the mindset to make. You may be sitting there thinking you're the only one that goes through this. You're not. The mindset debate exists for all of us. But because we seek growth, what you have to understand is that people that get to stand in front of you, it's not because they haven't failed. It's not because they haven't had it hard. It's not because they haven't had an obstacle. It's because when the obstacle comes, instead of having a fixed mindset and saying, I just can't, it's too hard, they said I'm going to do it anyway. When you see people stand on the stage a little bit taller than you, a little bit higher, in a position that seems like maybe it's a little more important and it's really not, can I just tell you that the reason that we have the honor to stand in front of you sometimes is because when failures and obstacles have come, we've looked them in the eye, and sometimes crying, trust me, sometimes pissed. We have looked them in the eye, and we have said, well, that didn't work very well. And we stacked it up. We said, well, I learned from that one, and we stacked it up again. Well, that person's just not ready yet, and we stacked it up, and we stand taller and higher, and it's because we are standing upon the failures and the obstacles we've walked through over and over again. There is room for all of you. Every one of you has a compelling future. You need to dream it, but you've got to get out of the dream space and be willing to do the work that it takes to get there. Now, if I could interview each and every one of you, it would be a really fun but very long and tedious experience. I would ask you, what are you learning and experiencing here? And maybe I would collect the results and I would put them together on the slide. But instead, I want to give you my impressions of what I think you're learning and experiencing here, and see how close I get. My guess is you're realizing that we have a compelling and powerful mission, and we need your help. I hope you're falling in love with our community. We are amazing, not perfect, but amazing people. I hope you're making some new friendships and seeing some old ones. Maybe you're discovering a calling, something that sets your soul on fire. You should be getting some personal development, so hopefully that's happening over here. Probably sharpening some skill sets. Are you observing that there's dreaming that takes work? The people that have been telling you their stories are not telling you it's always going to be easy. What they're telling you is it's going to be worth it. Don't miss that part. Hopefully you're seeing some options and you're experiencing some freedom or some potential for freedom. So what do you do with all of this? It's a lot of information, it's in your head, it's in your heart. What do you do with it? I want to give a quick little warning here. So I don't use power tools at all, ever. So I felt like the best way to practice would be in front of my closest 5,000 or 6,000 friends. Kevin's going to put me on all kinds of projects now, I can tell. And if you're in construction, you're probably, disgusted with the method I just used there. I think the guys in the back might be kind of mad. This turned out a little bit messier than we thought. There is a point to it, though. Okay, what do you do with everything? Like, practically, let's get down to business. I'm going to ask you to take aim. Dr. Anderson has used this acronym before to talk about awakening intrinsic motivation. And that is absolutely essential for what we do as clients and coaches and how we interact. I'm going to ask you to take it from a different perspective. So what I'm going to ask you to do is something that has worked so well for Kevin and I in all aspects of our business and our life, actually, and that's to assess, to implement, and to measure. And you're going to do it over and over again, guys. It's not like a one-time kind of deal. So assess. What does that mean? It means to say to yourself, as you look over your notes and you go through your experiences, what do I need? Or, what do my partners need? Maybe you have coaches, maybe you'd like to have coaches. And I think I want to caution us all right here that sometimes we kind of look at it as only one side of the coin, like, I'm sitting here for me. Feed me the success. Tell me how to build my business. And it's kind of all about us. On the other side of the coin, sometimes what happens is we take out our pen and paper and kind of like the end of our pen. Nobody really does that, but you're like, okay, well, if so-and-so is here, Coach so-and-so could hear that. And we sort of only look at it from other people's perspectives and we forget to be looking at ourselves. So I want you to think of this more as an and, an and. What do you need, but also what does your business need? And I don't know your business, so I don't know what it needs, but I'm going to make some general assumptions about what you might assess through your notes, your experiences, and your time here. Maybe you need and want to improve your client support. Maybe you want to get really, really good at that so that coaching looks attractional, our mission is attractional, and people can really see what we're all about. Maybe you need to add more clients. You were dreaming kind of big, but then you see there's really a lot of possibility out there. And so you decide, I'm going to go out and help some more clients be really successful. Maybe you've been doing this alone and you say, I'd like to bring more partners in. Maybe you have partners and you want to get really good at learning how to help them catch the vision and get into action. People are speaking into you and training you this weekend about these very things. Whatever your business needs, I hope you're starring and underlining and highlighting. You cannot do everything that's being taught to you, so pick the most important things to you right now and start there. Make an assessment. Do one or two things, and do one or two things, and do one or two things. But just doing the assessment, that's like me taking those precious, old, yellow pad pieces of paper and going back to my office and sticking them in the filing cabinet in 2011 and saying, that was a great convention. That's such a good time. And doing nothing with it. So I want to encourage you that after you do the assessment, you must, if you choose to, do the implementation. And I felt that it was really important to put on this slide a question that we must all ask ourselves. If you are compelled, how will you put these into action? See, some of us have come to events before, maybe last year, and you were inspired, you were motivated, and then you went back home and something shifted and changed. So what will be different this year for you? You have to be compelled by something, so you have to be compelled to change. And then these are just suggestions. Again, I don't know your business, but maybe for you it's choosing to work consistent hours. Maybe you feel like you're working all the time, or your spouse feels like you're working all the time, but you're not working on the most important things. And so you need to be really focused with the time that you have. On the other side of the coin, maybe you have really big dreams and goals, and you've been treating this like a well-paid hobby. Can I encourage you to get into action and track your progress? Maybe it's to send in your map, your monthly action plans, and your goals for accountability. Do you know that there's people that literally look at their business at the end of the month, they kind of draw a bullseye on it, and they go, nailed it. It's not a good way to lead your business. It will not lead you to a strong, duplicable business. So with what you're learning today, as you implement parts of it, can I encourage you, if you're not sending in something for accountability to your support team, why? 9 conventions later, we still send things to our support team that says, hey, here's where we're going. Here's who we're working with. These are our goals for the month. These are our goals for the quarter. And you know what? We don't hit every goal every month. We fall short. Sometimes we're not doing the right action, we're not doing enough action, we don't have the right people. Sometimes it takes a little more time. But you know what? I am not afraid of failure. I'm afraid of stagnation, and I'm afraid of apathy. And so I want to encourage you, if you're not setting goals in because you're afraid you want to achieve all of them, that is not a truth. Just ask for the support. Ask for the accountability. Maybe for you, it's learning to become more engaged with your support team and doing team coaching. Getting engaged with those coach explorers, those meet and greets. You want a business that's wide and deep in equity that doesn't have a lot of dilution, where the system gets repeated over and over. Now measuring. Measuring's a big one. Kevin and I measure almost every area of our life. Our physical health, our marriage, our parenting, our business. We talk to each other kind of weekly about it. We get away quarterly to talk about these things because we want to know, how are we doing before it's too late? Do you realize that we have a very specific and proven system? We know how to offer this opportunity to people, to invite them to change their health and their life, to coach them into a strong fat burn, to coach them ongoingly, to bring them into our community so that they can either refer people or maybe potentially coach their own friends and family. For people outside of our client base to look inside and say, what are you guys doing? To show them on a Coach Explorer what they could be doing with the business, and then to start them and set them up well as a new coach, and then to train them as a coach. We have a system. Are you following it?
Is what you're doing working? Are you being coachable if you need to shift? And number 4 is so important for me. I feel like we have a lot of these conversations with coaches. Should you pivot or keep going? See, sometimes people are doing the right action. They feel like they've thrown the seed and they don't see the orchard right away. And so we have to say, stay the course. It's more of the long obedience in the right direction. You're doing the right thing. Keep going. But sometimes we're waiting for the invitation from a coach to say to them, you know what? You actually have really good seed, but you've been throwing it on poor soil. Or you actually have some poor seed and you've been throwing it on good soil. Can we offer you some suggestions? Are you open to pivot? And do you have a growth mindset? So these are the ways that we measure. See, you get to choose one of 2 kinds of business. We all do. And as we leave this place, remember, the daring greatly comes because right now it's fun. And I have to tell you, 9 years later, 8.5 years later, it is still so fun. I sat in those seats right next to Vonda Livingston when Lori Reasons told her story and were sobbing. Because somewhere along the way, I planted a seed with Megan Gutman, who planted a seed with Vonda, who planted a seed with Lori. And the ripple effect goes on and on and on and on and on. This is fun. This still takes work. And a lot of it is going to matter as you leave this space. What is really going to matter is how you show up. And I love this Theodore Roosevelt quote. It's not the critic who counts. It's not the man who points out where the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man, the coach, who's actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there's no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself on a worthy cause, and boy, do we have a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, who at the worst, if he fails, at least he fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls, who neither know victory nor defeat. Dare greatly, when your feet hit upon soil, filling to contend. I promise you, it will not always be easy, but it will very, very much be worth it. What future is so compelling that you are willing to transform, that you are prepared to transform how you operate to achieve it? Because convention is designed to transport you to your future. And if you're willing to do the work, you'll see the results. Are you going to lead your life, or are you going to accept your life? The choice is yours.